Yo, what is up guys? It's Pedro here, and in today's video I will be talking about the news that came out yesterday from John Keim about the possibility of the Washington football team taking a quarterback early on in this year's draft. We'll go through some of the possible options that the Washington football team could look at in rounds 1, 2, and 3 and which one would be the best. So if you guys are new, make sure to subscribe for Washington and NFL content. We are almost at 5,000 subscribers, so please help me get there. So let's get right into the video. So yesterday on John Keim's podcast, he mentioned Washington possibly drafting a quarterback in day 2 or day 3 because likely there's not going to be someone they really value at pick 19 at the quarterback position, because most of these guys are going to be gone before the top 10. Maybe they trade up a little bit, but they don't really have the ammunition to go up into the top 3, top 4. So if they do trade up, it's probably to like number 7, and who's going to be there at number 7? So the most likely thing that's going to happen is them taking a quarterback on day 2 or day 3. So we're going to be looking into some of those possible options and how they would fit for the Washington football team. And Hogs Haven kind of summarized what John Keim said, and he says Washington football team has interest in adding a developmental QB on day 2 of the draft if the price is right. QBs always go higher than expected in the first, and the front office does not believe someone they like will be in range at 19. Developmental QB must have traits they value in Scott Turner's system. The mental traits are possibly more important than the physical. Decisiveness, confidence, competitive spirit are key. They want a leader, and there's a couple in this draft late round or mid round that they might be able to get. And it will be interesting to see how this plays out, because right now they have Ryan Fitzpatrick, Kyle Allen, and Taylor Heineke on the roster, and they have Steven Montez on the roster as well. So if you do, let's say, draft a quarterback in the 3rd round this year, then you're going to have to cut one of those quarterbacks, and it's probably going to end up being Kyle Allen. Even though I think they really like him, they won't take a cap hit with cutting Kyle Allen. I think they'll take a $1.5 million cap hit cutting Taylor Heineke. So I don't think they will do that. And if you get a guy in the 3rd round, 4th round, he can sit behind Ryan Fitzpatrick for a full year. You're not going to want him to play in year 1. You want him to sit behind Taylor Heineke and Ryan Fitzpatrick so he can develop and maybe turn into a really good starter the next year or the year after that. And if the pick is a total flop, you only, it's not necessarily the best thinking, but you always want to take chances on these quarterbacks. And if it doesn't work out, you can still go after a quarterback next year. So, real quick, let's go through a few options that the Washington football team could consider, whether it be in the 3rd round, 4th round, or even later. There's some solid options, nothing extremely special, but there are some solid options. So one option that I do like is Davis Mills. Davis Mills played for Stanford. I've watched a little bit of his film. He's one of the only quarterbacks in the later rounds that I've watched a lot of his film. And this year he only played 5 games because his team had a bunch of games canceled. And he played solid. 66% completion percentage, 1,500 yards, 7 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, got sacked 10 times, had a pretty solid season again, only played in 5 games. And he isn't super mobile, but he's mobile enough in the pocket. Definitely more mobile than Kyle Trask, Mac Jones, but obviously not as mobile as someone like Zach Wilson. But he's mobile enough, and he can get out of the pocket and extend plays. And he's pretty good in the short to intermediate range. I would really like him in that 3rd, 4th round range if we can get him. I think that would be a really, really solid option. He hasn't had a bunch of games, that is an issue, but if he sits behind Ryan Fitzpatrick for a year or even more, I think he can turn into a good quarterback. You just have to develop him right. But I think this would be a solid option. He has a good frame, 6'4", 225 pounds, and if you can get him in that 4th round range, maybe even 3rd round range, I would really, really like that, because I think if we develop him right, I think he can turn out to be a really good starter, or a good starter in this league, and sitting behind Ryan Fitzpatrick could be good for him for one season or even one more. And now this is another one. Haven't watched too much on him besides just, games, live games, but Kyle Trask and John Keim actually talked about him a lot in his podcast, so make sure you guys check him out. He said he would be a solid option for us in the 3rd round of the draft. Kyle Trask is about 6'5", 240 pounds, obviously played for the Florida Gators this past season with Kyle Pitts and Kadarius Toney, and really had a breakout year. Completed about 69% of his passes, 4,300 yards, 43 touchdowns, 8 interceptions. The knock on him, he is not mobile at all. He is very, very slow, but at least he is somewhat mobile in the pocket. He's able to avoid sacks. Sometimes got sacked about 20 times this year, a little bit down from what he got in 2019, but the mobility is, a little bit of a knock on him, but he is really competitive. He's a solid leader, and he's good in the short to intermediate passing game, which is what, Washington's offense really values. And, if you wanted to, Keim also mentioned this, you could draft someone like Kadarius Toney in the 1st round to be that true slot receiver, because you might say, well, Curtis Samuel is our slot guy, but Curtis Samuel can play all over, and with Scott Turner, he actually had the majority of his snaps on the outside, so you could draft someone like Kadarius Toney to help your quarterback out and maybe sit him another year. But he's 6'5", 240 pounds, does have a good frame, but could lose a little bit of weight to get a little bit more mobility. But he would be a very interesting pick. I would not waste a 2nd round pick on him, but if he's there in the 3rd, then I would be okay with it. I wouldn't love the pick, but 3rd round, if you can get him with your first 3rd round pick, I don't think that would be a bad pickup at all. I know some people really hate him because of his mobility, but I think he's going to be fine in the NFL if he's developed correctly. And then the next player, Kellan Mon, I haven't watched too much of him, but I did watch his Senior Bowl game. He had a really good Senior Bowl game. He's about 6'3", 220 pounds this past year with the Texas A&M Aggies. 2,300 yards, 19 touchdowns, and 3 interceptions. Played solid, he's pretty mobile as well. A little bit of a down year mobility-wise. He didn't get as many attempts, about 300 rushing yards and 4 touchdowns. He's, some people really like him, some people don't, and it's going to be interesting to see where he falls in the draft. Some people have him ranked super high, like Chris Sims has him ranked as like the 4th best quarterback, and some people have him as like a 4th, 5th round pick. So maybe he's like a 3rd or 4th round guy. I don't know if I'm willing to take him in the 3rd. I'm not sure yet. I need to watch a little bit more on him, but he is another option. Those 3 guys in that 3rd to 4th round range are options for the Washington football team. Other options, you have Jamie Newman, Patrick Ramsey, Ian Book. There's a bunch of different options this year in the later rounds, but probably my favorite, is probably Davis Mills. If you can get him in the 4th, I would really, really like that, and I think that would be a really good pickup for the Washington football team to develop behind Fitzpatrick and Heineke for a year. So thank you guys for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, please smash that like button, subscribe if you guys are new, and turn on those post notifications so you never miss a video, and peace.